Hey, hi all. In today's episode, we're diving into a topic that's reshaping the very foundation of product management and business analysis, and that, of course, is artificial intelligence and large language models. For years, product managers and business analysts have relied on structured frameworks, stakeholder interviews, and data-driven insights to define business needs and roadmap priorities and to develop product strategies. But now AI is changing the game, offering new ways to automate analysis, generate insights, and even act as intelligent co-pilots in decision making. Today we're going to be looking at how AI will redefine the core responsibilities of PMs and BAs. What opportunities and challenges does this shift bring? And more importantly, how can professionals like all of you in the audience adapt and thrive in this AI-driven world? Okay, we are extremely lucky to have today Raul and Aperna to help us navigate through all these really important topics. Raul is a principal BA consultant. Aperna is a senior business analyst for Royal Cyber. Thank you guys for helping us separate fact from fiction. Can we just start with the both of you, just giving a little bit of background, for our audience. Raul, could you start?
Sure. Thank you, Tony. I thought you were going to ask the lovely lady first, but let me just begin.
No, the handsome gentleman. I went with the handsome gentleman.
Thank you for the compliment, Tony. And yes, Aparna, nice to have you on this call as well. So
Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Rahul, and I am the PA practice head, and I am supporting as the practice head for the business analysis and the functional strategy at Royal Cyber. I have approximately 10 years of experience into the functional consulting role, supporting organizations with their product roadmaps, their strategy, helping them understand what will be the long-term vision that they're looking at, and how can an organization such as Royal Cyber help them complement their vision, support in whatever ways possible, and just develop a roadmap for them which is ever changing, ever evolving, with the strategic support of all the various practices that we have. And it has been a pleasure. So I primarily am into the field of MarTech, that is marketing technology, primarily into commerce as well, the core of the functionality as such, and have been doing supporting strategies since the last 10 years, as I said. So, and it's a lovely way to join this conversation, a topic which we all want to discuss in detail and to understand what is the landscape evolution, how does it look like for the next 5 years, 10 years down the line. And I think I have a lovely panel with me in the names of Tony and Aparna, who will be supporting me in this journey of the next 45 minutes to 1 hour. So thank you team.
Thanks, Earl. Aperna, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Rahul. So, hi everyone. My name is Aparna Kumar, and I'm working as a business analyst, a senior business analyst with Royal Cyber. I have close to 9 years of experience working with luxury retailers across the world, and I'm very proud to be a part of Royal Cyber because I believe Royal Cyber is a company that's doing amazing work with AI in the real world, especially in retail and digital transformation. So. Very lucky to be a part of this conversation, especially with two people who I consider as my mentors, Tony and Rahul. So thanks for this opportunity.
Thanks, Aparna. Okay, thank you guys. Not sort of, but definitely in keeping with the theme of our webinars, and this is the third in the series. Actually, it's the second because we had technical difficulties last week, and I apologize to all of you that tried to join last week. We are going to reschedule the CXA webinar in 2 weeks. But in keeping with the theme of the webinars, we want to share how we're using AI in our workflows. Aperna and Raul, they're very well versed in the tools of the trade, so to speak. And one of the things that we wanted to share with our audiences is how we're using these tools and what tools are we using. So there's a lot of tools on the market, like Atlassian AI is one, of course, ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, and I was wondering if the two of you could kind of share what are some of your favorite tools, and how are you using those tools in your workflow? Aperna, could you go first?
Sure, Tony. So I think that's a really great question. So what we are seeing today is that AI is becoming like a reliable co-pilot for the BAs and PMs. So it's basically helping with the heavy lifting. So whether it's drafting user stories, documenting functional requirements, or summarizing long customer interviews. So instead of starting from the scratch, you can now give the AI a prompt or some notes, and it will just give you a first draft that you can refine. So you can ask tools like ChatGPT or Claude to summarize the trends, analyze, competitor strategies, or even, highlight the pricing differences across the brands. And you can also use the AI to spot gaps in the market, or, generate product ideas faster than before. So it's basically like having an extra analyst on your team, except that this one works 24/7. But here's the important part that I want to convey. So we can't assume everything AI says is correct. So sometimes it sounds very confident, but still things get wrong. So that's what we call hallucinations. So basically it can make up facts or give outdated information. So that is something that I really want to highlight, because even when you use ChatGPT, ChatGPT will give a disclaimer that the information that it conveys is not 100% true. So what I generally do is, whenever I use ChatGPT, I try to give a prompt that I need the reference links for every single information that GPT is giving. And trust me, it will give me the links. And if you just cross validate those links, even they will not exist. They'll just be, imaginary links. So you will have to, especially in the field of business analysis, you will have to cross validate your information before you present it, because you're dealing with business. You can't go wrong here. So what I would want to say is, these tools are really helpful in helping us with a lot of tasks that we do on a daily basis, the mechanical tasks. But always cross validate your information, double check the facts, because it's a great partner to explore ideas with, but definitely not the final decision maker. The thinking part is definitely ours.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on one thing that you mentioned, because, of course, in keeping with the theme, we're trying to keep this real. What's possible? There's a lot of swirl out there, and we're trying to cut through the swirl. And I don't want to give too much away on next week's webinar, which we're going to be talking to the UI development team. But a similar description when I was talking to the UI development team, they had of these tools. They said it's like having another junior developer on your team. They can do some things, but you always have to look over the code in this case that they're writing. You mentioned that some of these tools are similar to having a junior assistant, and
Right.
Can you just kind of qualify that? For those in the audience that aren't familiar, with your field too much, what would you expect a junior assistant to do, and how much supervision would you need to give that junior assistant?
Right, sure. So again, in the field of business analysis, I would expect a junior analyst, if I just give them maybe some notes of a requirement, I would just expect them to write the user story. If I just, I would be taking some notes with the interview with a stakeholder, or, any surveys. So I would just expect just draft notes to be given and the perfect user story to be written, number one. Again, with respect to framing extensive documentation like BRDs, again, we'll just have rough notes, but there is a lot of formatting that goes into preparing a BRD. So again, with respect to documentation, the thing is, when you have a real junior business analyst, I personally feel it's easier. You don't have to do a lot of cross validation because the human touch is still there. But with respect to AI, you need to do a little more validation because it lacks the human touch. So which brings me to the same point that a lot of mechanical tasks that we do as business analysts, like drafting user stories, preparing documentation, maybe summarizing, taking the minutes of the meeting that we have, these are the tasks that I would expect a junior business analyst to help me with. But AI can do it, but without cross validation, it's of no use for us.
Okay, thanks, Aperna. Raul, same question about the tools that you find useful, and how are you integrating that into the workflow?
So, first of all, to everybody, I think out there, what Aparna summarized in the essence of usage of tools. I hope I'm loud and clear, right, team? Tony and
Yeah,
Aparna,
you're
I'm
good.
facing some.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to summarize what Aparna tried to say here, that you you cannot expect to be a good product manager with the help of using those tools. You have to be a good product manager to understand how to get the best out of those tools. That is the difference. So that tool in itself would not make you a better UX person, or a better developer, or a better strategist, or a better product owner. You are supposed to be a good product owner, or you are supposed to be a good business analyst, and only then you can understand how you can leverage AI as a tool in whatever tools you want. It can be Zapier, it can be ChatGPT, it can be Llama, it can be Claude. Multiple tools, multiple platforms, multiple technologies, and not just limited to the larger LLM tools. Nowadays, every single tool that we used to use, like we used to use Jira for user story writing, Atlassian AI came in. We used to use Miro for the prototyping part of it, the brainstorming aspect of it. Miro also brought in an AI agent. You were using Canva for creating low-level diagrams, or maybe some workflows or some mockups here. Now Canva also has brought in an AI agent. So the limit to which tool do you want to use, that is up to the experience of the product manager or the business analyst itself. But you expect a junior business analyst to become a seasoned product manager with just the help of this AI tool, that is not going to happen. You need to be a good product manager. Only if you are a good product manager or a good business analyst, you can understand which tool to use, where to use, how to use, and how much to use. So all these things are supposed to be your discretion, at your discretion, at your organization's discretion. Because again, as a product manager, you work with a lot of information, a lot of content and everything. If we are, as Aparna rightly said, hallucination, the biggest issue right now is how do you understand whether the content given out to you is hallucinated content or is it the original content. That differentiation comes up with the experience of who is using the tool as such. I cannot expect a junior business analyst to just have a perfect access of ChatGPT 4.5. Even if I give them the artificial general intelligence, is going to come in the next 6 months. I cannot still expect a perfect output coming out from a 2-year or a 3-year business analyst. It has to be somebody who understands how the process flow works, how the emotional intelligence aspect of the job is addressed via the work that you deliver, and then you complement that with the tools that you own. It can be any tool. So it is not just about the tool as such, it's about your experience and your veracity with the tool about what you're using. So I would like to say that.
Great. Thanks, Raul. Of course, anything related to AI, everybody automatically thinks faster, better. It's proven, obviously. It speeds things up, makes short work out of tasks that would typically take maybe hours or even days. But I wonder if you could comment. What are the most immediate effects AI brings to tasks like requirement gathering or market research, or even competitor analysis. Raul, can you go first?
The most immediate effect, Tony, which we all know, is time saving capacity. The work that AI was doing, that AI can do right now, is that it can save up to 70 to 80% of your task level manual efforts, the man hour level of efforts that you think about it. Initially, how discovery sessions used to be planned, like let's say you're talking to a client wants to enhance their B2C commerce capabilities. They're looking at a strategic partner, somebody like a Royal Cyber, to help them understand what their vision should look like. In that case, the organization or the service provider itself would spend at least 2 to 3 weeks on researching, on coming out with the right content, creating documentations, creating heat maps, and then carry out the discovery for the next 2 3 weeks, post which they will be able to understand what is the right MVP that can be promised with the estimate that the client is expecting. Now this entire value chain aspect of it, which used to take 6 to 7 weeks, now it can be streamlined to a good 1 to 2 weeks. The reason behind it, that the homework that you were spending your time on initially, now that can be done with the help of AI in like a day or two. Any seasoned product manager, any seasoned business analyst would know that and implementation is derived from the market research, benchmarking against your competitors, benchmark against your domain, in which domain you're working, and in which geography you're operating. So, taking an example of the MENA region, the Middle East and the North Africa region, the product strategy that you develop for a product in the MENA region should be catered to that particular geography, and even to the domain level, even to the industry level. That level of research initially used to take 2 to 3 weeks of time, which can now be done in 2 weeks of time. So sorry, 2 days of time. So the immediate effect is you save a lot of time. You save 80, a rough estimate is 75 to 80% of the man hours efforts are saved. And this is both ways. It translates to the client level time spent as well, because initially the discoveries used to carry out in such a way that every stakeholder who had a stake in the implementation itself from the client side had to be there in the call, which used to be, and no matter how good you plan it, no matter how good your SOD matrix or requirement traceability matrix is, you still would need more than enough players to carry out a simpler discovery. Now, with the help of the homework that you can do with the help of AI, a lot of the stakeholders would save their time. They would only join relevant meetings, or they would only answer the questionnaires for which there is a bottleneck or a gap in the requirement itself. Otherwise, majority of the stakeholders then can continue with the task that they're good at, strategizing the next part of the job, strategizing the next part of the vision for their organization. And Royal Cyber or any service provider is of course there to support their vision. So yes, so you save a lot of time, you save a lot of man efforts. That time and man efforts can be utilized in a better way, doing something more productive, coming up with the MVP2 or the other aspect as well.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask you, because, I'm sure a lot of ears perked up in the audience when they heard 75 to 80% savings. Now, does that equate to cost, or is that the wrong way to look at this? Because I'm thinking, because you mentioned that, those efforts can go in other areas. So does the 75 to 80% savings in time, should we look at that as, I don't know, increasing the quality of the analysis in certain areas? Is that how we should be looking at this?
It's a double sword, Tony. So in the double sword, it means that either you are saving on cost or you are saving on effort. The amount of time that you save in or the effort you save in, you can invest that in quality, and then you can get better returns out of it. So it's like, I'll give you an example. Initially, to write a simple login user story for a B2C commerce feature, by using Jira, you would take like 4 to 5 hours of your effort, because you need to detail out the exact description, the right acceptance criteria, definition of done, definition of ready, non-functional requirements. So there were a lot of aspects to each user story, and every BA or every product manager had to look it from an aspect of a developer's aspect, from a QA's aspect, from a solution architecture's aspect, and even from a sales aspect as well. And if it's a finance module, then even from a financial aspect as well. Now, all those aspects, even if not at 100% detail level, at a 80 to 90% level, the Atlassian intelligence itself can give it to you, and in the format that you want. Majority of the time used to take in writing in the Gherkins format, which is given when then format, which is just content. Now, if you just prompt it that give me acceptance criteria in a Gherkins format, it will give you that. So you are saving a lot of time in writing, you are saving a lot of time in research, you are saving a lot of time in implementation, also dividing the subtasks as well. So the metadata level information feeding, which used to be the crux of the work that the BA used to do, that metadata is readily available for you to use for any of the projects that you want. So that's where you are saving your time. Now it's up to the organization to decide where do they want to use those efforts on. They can come up with the sprint plan for the next sprint in the next 1 hour, because they saved a lot of time. They can also come up with the entire plan of MVP2 and MVP3 and MVP4 based on the analysis that was presented to them in the MVP1 itself. So now you have a lot of time, because the initial legwork, which used to take 100% of your time, now only take 20% of your time. So you can, I will leave it up to the superior knowledge of the client and the service provider itself to use that time and whatever. You can either go and play pickleball if you want,
yeah. Let's just say the decision is out of our pay grade. Let's just say that. So Aperna, same question. What are the most immediate effects that you see in the use of AI?
So, Tony, I think Rahul summarized it brilliantly. So, I'll just resonate with what he said. It's definitely the biggest benefit is the speed. So, like he mentioned, I think a lot of activities that a BA used to do, like writing user stories or competitor analysis or customer surveys that took hours or days, it can just be done in like few minutes. So it's just not about the speed. It's about AI can also help us spot patterns. So for example, if it's an e-commerce, let's say an e-commerce online website, and you're trying to collect the customer feedback. So some customers are saying that the site is too slow, and some are saying that I hate clicking so many times to buy something, and some have a feedback that it takes forever to check out. So they are all using different words, but AI understands the hidden pattern. So they're all complaining about one thing, that is the usability, and the slow shopping flow. So I think that is something that AI can do. It can spot patterns. So instead of looking at all the thousand comments by the customers, AI tells you that most customers are frustrated with the speed and the checkout experience. So you can actually, this means you can prioritize fixing those areas first. This is one thing that I wanted to highlight. The second thing is, again, like Rahul mentioned about saving the effort. This is something that I had encountered in one of my projects. So when you speed up the whole process of writing user stories in a very fast paced manner, you can utilize that time to, once your backlogs are ready for the upcoming sprint, you can utilize that time working with stakeholders to maybe prioritize more features, to understand, to work on some new features that will help improve their revenue. You can even do some competitor analysis and suggest some features to the stakeholders that, see, this is something that is in that is trending right now. Do you want to consider implementing this? So we've got that kind of scenarios that has helped us, because we were able to create backlogs very quickly. So yeah.
Great. Thank you for that. You know, I heard a fascinating question the other day. Can LLMs replace traditional stakeholder interviews and discovery sessions, or do they enhance them? And I thought, this was really interesting, just because it implies that AI can create new and relevant insights based on historical data. What are your thoughts here? Aperna, can you start us out?
Sure, Tony. I would love to answer this one. So I think this is a really important distinction. So AI isn't here to replace our conversations, like we mentioned. It's here to support us. So AI can definitely help you prepare for the interviews with the customers or stakeholders. They can generate very smart questions, or even summarize the past stakeholder conversations. But when it comes to understanding the politics of a room, picking up emotional cues, I think that's all human. AI can't navigate. But here is the main thing. So AI doesn't understand the tone, the trust, or the team dynamics. It can't tell when someone is hesitating because they are unsure, or when two stakeholders are in a conflict. So it can't basically negotiate priorities, read body language, or build relationships. So I think that is where the human skills as a BA come in. And one of the most underrated parts of a business analyst role is what happens during live discovery sessions. So many a times the requirements don't come neatly written in a document. A lot of requirements emerge at the moment through real-time conversations with stakeholders. So like I mentioned, you might suggest a feature idea based on a business pain point, and the client lights up and says, yes, that's exactly what we need. And just like that, that becomes a key requirement. This has happened a lot of times. And I think that kind of collaborative shaping of features on the fly based on trust, experience, and instinct is something only a human BA can do. AI can definitely support the process, but it does not replace the human connection and the critical thinking that will be happening in that room. So AI can basically help, you hear what was said, but only you can understand what was meant.
Yeah, uh, I and this is going to come as a surprise to many people in the audience, but I just actually discovered the just epic discussion between Keanu Reeves and Elon Musk. And for those of you that haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But the one thing that I thought was just striking is the way that Keanu Reeves encapsulated the reasons why AI will never replace humans. And of course, Elon Musk is on the opposite end of that. But, one of the things that he mentioned, is this inability for AI to understand emotions or loss or understand what love is, and not be able to actually come up with original ideas based on those understandings of human emotions. Now, you mentioned that this is something that the human in this scenario needs to provide. The deep, how to interpret body language. I mean, how do you explain that? Do you think this is going to be this inability to understand human emotions, at least for now? Do you think this is completely out of reach for AI, or do you think it may be coming with I don't know, when artificial general intelligence becomes a reality? What are your thoughts on that?
To be honest, Tony, I don't think this is something AI can ever do, no matter how well trained it is going to be. Because yes, maybe reading the body language, yes, maybe at a later point of time, even that can come. But again, like I mentioned, there are a lot of things that happen, during live conversations. The human instinct is something that AI will definitely not have. So I personally don't think there will be a point where AI can do this, because if it does that, I mean, then it's something like it's going to be a superpower which will just change the whole world. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Okay, thanks for that, Aperna. Raul, the same question, about, will AI ever replace traditional stakeholder interviews and discovery sessions? What are your thoughts in that area?
Tony, I'll just take 2 to 3 minutes of your time. I'll just answer slightly longer. What I would like to say,
all day.
What I would like to say, Tony, is that first thing is ChatGPT. Let's do ChatGPT. What is ChatGPT doing? Even 5 years before today, even when ChatGPT was not there, you still had Google. Any information that you needed, you just went to multiple links, you got your answers. You had to go to multiple links, get your answer, and come back, right? That was the use case. What ChatGPT has done is remove that hurdle of you going to multiple links and check your answer. It gives you an answer. So it has just removed that one extra layer of research that you do to get to the right answer that you want. Initially, code used to be searched on Stack Overflow or GitHub. Now you can do it on ChatGPT. Simple. Or a cursor can do it for you. One. Second is, as Aparna mentioned, about the emotional aspect, the behavioral aspect. So if you remember, Tony, even we have had this discussion of behavior analytics has always been there with the platforms that we currently use right now. The system even now understands that if Aparna has bought a blue shoe today, maybe tomorrow she will tend to buy a white sock. So system knows that even today as well. So behavioral tracking as well, system has already been doing for the past, I don't know, I think Spotify came up with this in 2008, wherein they were recommending stream music to the customers based on what music they were listening to in the past. So that also has been already happening. An algorithm is there, a data set is there, and based on that, the prediction modeling aspect of the work was already happening. What is pending right now is the aspect of a live conversation. So let's say if AI becomes that big that in place of Aparna, we have a chat GPT or a bot agent who's talking to us in real time. Don't you think that also will be a different Aparna? So, it will be a human like. It will again be the best you can do is create another human, but it will not go beyond a human. The quality it will have access to all the information that you can give it to. Maybe you make it artificially generally intelligent, that they call it, right? Post that there is a superior artificial AGI, post that there is godlike intelligence. All that will happen, but then again, the limit to it is the access to the information that you can provide it to. So the best I believe it can be is at the level of you, me, Aparna, maybe a slightly lesser than that. But in terms of driving an entire interaction and leading an entire company, I don't think it will ever reach to that. Because if that happens, then humans are no more needed. And I think it will never reach to that level. It's like a parallel universe kind of a conversation to me. Like your our intelligence is limited to what our thought is. Maybe AI's intelligence is larger to what our thought is. But don't you think it will all boil down to the fact that it will always be your supportive character, your co-pilot?
I personally hope so,
Yeah,
because I think in my humble opinion, where AI is going to service all of us is
yeah.
making us better, but not obviously replacing us. Okay, so that is obviously a topic for a whole nother webinar right there, and
Yeah.
I hope the three of us can get together and have another chat about similar things. But um, saying that all organizations are scrambling to adapt to this thing called AI, obviously is a huge understatement. But the ones that are facing some of the most aggressive changes are those that involve extensive research and consulting. How are organizations adapting to AI integration? Raul, you want to start us off?
Sure, Tony. I will just take one of the best examples. Consulting starts with the big four. There are bigger players in the market. There are always like the McKinsey is the BCGs of the world. McKinsey recently came up with a bot wherein they fed all the information that they learned over the last 100 years of their consulting, all the research reports, all the client testimonials, everything that they worked on. They put that to with an LLM model, and now that internal chatbot that McKinsey has is supporting all their internal or the initial level of research level support. So it's providing that already. That is what organizations can do. They can create a knowledge bank of whatever they have worked on, and that applies to every single organization. Let's say I pick up an insurance company like let's say I pick up Bank of America or any other organization who works in the financial sector, on the financial side of the knowledge, or maybe even an insurance company like the Great American Insurance Company, whatever. You can pick up any example, AXA for that matter. What is the role of AI in those aspects is that it can help support product development. Now, let's say AXA wants to come up with a new insurance scheme. It can provide an entire documentation of what kind of clauses should be there, what are the what can be the future level clauses, what are the gaps that were there in the initial policies that we provided, and we can sort them out with the help of AI. So it's like you can use, every company is now developing their own internal chatbot, feeding them with its own information, and those information, that level of research, like having your own personal Google based on your own understanding, and then supporting the future of the business that you want to do. So that's what companies are eyeing for. It's they're targeting for that, and the only thing that it is doing right now is reducing the effort that the consultants spent on. So initially a McKinsey report used to come in a span of like 2 to 3 weeks. Now they are giving it in a span of like 1 day or 2 day, because they have a larger backup to an access. Even on the legal fronts, the bigger law firms right now have fed all the references, all the law cases, all the legal cases inside their own ChatGPT or their LLM model which they created. And if a new case comes in and you just type the prompt that there is an arbitration that we want to do for a certain client, this was the premise, this was the case, it can directly reference it back to an older case which you might have won 20 years back. Initially what used to happen, that you used to have a team of lawyers who used to go through all those artifacts and then come up with the reference which you can use in your current case. But now all that research part of it can be done with just a click. So it's time saving, it's your own knowledge accessible to you easily. That's it.
I just want to go back to one thing that you said at the beginning. You mentioned the big four, and what that got me thinking are the best use cases in the area of adapting to AI going to come from those bigger companies and trickle down to all of us? Is innovation in AI dependent on the amount of money you have available to invest in developing those innovations? What do you think?
It's always the case, Tony. Don't you think that the larger the company, the
Unfortunately,
larger.
yeah.
I see, Tony, if you and me were as big as Cisco or were as big as Facebook, we can develop a god-like chatbot for our own company. Why can't we do that? Of course, we can do that, right? Or a big, what do we need? What did the bigger firms used to do? Like in the Middle East, came up with Neom, right? They were building that wall-like city. The first thing they did was hire a consulting firm as big as McKinsey or BCG. Why? Because they could spend that kind of money. It's not that only these people have the information needed to build Neom. It's that when you have the money, you would like to spend it to enhance your work in the best possible way. You can spend it, you can be a spendthrift in reinvesting and developing new strategies which will keep you up the game against your competitors. Of course you can do that. Why not? The biggest concern right now is that the amount of data that you will feed into your LLM model and the output that you're going to generate with that, is the cost benefit aspect of it bigger than your investment? That is the point. If you think that it is bigger, if you think that it is going to add much more value, of course you should go ahead with you do that. But it's not always the case. There were many organizations, Tony, even 30-40 years back, who implemented ERP at its core, because ERP used to be the biggest function. But I think many of those many of them lost a lot of money with those multi-million-dollar ERP implementations, which could have been done with just an Excel sheet. So it's about that. You can of course buy the Rolls Royce as to be the biggest car, but will you use your Rolls Royce to buy groceries? I don't think that's the use case, right?
Well, I was just hoping that maybe AI was the great equalizer. Much like for those of you that are as old as me, and I'll just say that Al Gore wasn't the father of the internet. I was. But when the internet came out, it was supposed to be the great equalizer. So, one can only hope. So, Aperna, same question to you. So, how are these organizations adapting? What are your thoughts in this area?
So I think Tony, I think Rahul has again, he's done a great job explaining it really well. But just I would like to throw light on another part of this, and answer another part, which is with respect to companies using a lot of AI tools. Uh, like we all know that these tools help the business analyst or the people using the tools to write documents automatically, summarize meeting notes, and again create stories, backlog grooming, extra. But when it comes to using these tools, there are some things that I wanted to mention. So one is with respect to how you should train the employees with respect to writing better prompts. So I think prompt is a very, very important thing when
We lost you, Aparna.
I think she's stuck. Yeah. Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think, let me just ping her 1 second. I think I just asked her to rejoin. Let's just move on to the next question, and hopefully Aperna will be able to join us in a second. But Raul, the $1 million question, that we kind of talked about a little bit in the early part of this conversation. Will AI ever replace humans? As AI improves, will we see fewer BAs and PMs, God forbid, or will the skill set shift towards maybe something a little bit more strategic and solution architecture related? What do you think, Raul?
Tony, I think the roles will evolve. Now, initially everybody used to be front end, back end integration, then full stack came in, then full stack used to be supported as the tech lead. They used to do everything. But even when we went back again to a UX UI approach and the development approach on the back end, so it happens. You will evolve. Of course, the roles will evolve. Again, as a BA, you understand what the domain level requirements are, you understand what the technology stack is, you understand the processes, and then it becomes easier for you to become a solution architect as well. But is it going to be an easy path? No, it's absolutely not, because solution architecture side of the business or any other work that you do, AI ChatGPT, LLM, Claude can support it, but it can only support it to an extent in which you can understand what the natural progression is. It cannot be a precursor to everything that you do. Like it cannot be that. You will of course need somebody like a Rahul RP or a Anthony or a Matthew or a Aparna to initially lead the discussions at the first plate itself. Like tomorrow, if I give you the best BA agent possible in this industry, and I ask it, hi Aparna. Aparna, you there?
Yes, am I audible?
Oh, yes, you're good. Welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry, there was a.
Go ahead, Raul.
Yeah.
Am I?
Sorry, Aparna, I hijacked your question whilst
Okay,
you were away.
sure.
I just needed a little bit more screen time.
Please, Rahul, please go ahead.
What I was saying, Tony, is that again, it will be like industrial revolution came. Everybody used to think that the merchants would go away, the weavers would go away, and everybody will lose their jobs. The world will enter a dark age. Nothing like that happened. Yes, it happened for a short amount of time. Disruption is there in the industry, but it's only short-lived. Once you go past that entry barrier of how much can you use in your day-to-day jobs, then you evolve based on what the actual product is. Industrial revolution came, and even not as let's not go as back as that. Even you think about metaverse, like metaverse came in. What happened with metaverse? It was a fad for some time, if I can call it that. Many companies were evolving in that stage. Facebook invested a lot in that. After that, blockchain came, the digital currency aspect of the work came. It was only used to launder money which could not be done directly. So every technology came, every technology was presented as a big game changer. Everything would change, a disruptive technology. Bank of America would die, JP Morgan would die. Everybody used to say that the banks will be no more, Bitcoin will be the sole currency of the world will unite. Nothing like that happened, right? So it's not the end game with anything. Even with the AI, with the advent of AI, it is only an enabler. It's only a complementer to the kind of work that you are doing. It will never be a disruptor, Tony. And no matter what you do, it can never take over an actual Tony or an actual Aparna to do an actual task. If that level of works if that level of work AI is able to do, organizations would not survive. If I do not need a Tony, I would not need a CEO as well. If I do not need a CEO, why do I need a service provider? Why this entire business of getting the work done would die. If AI was that smart enough, if I am the CEO of a company, I am the CEO of Facebook, and I want to develop a new product, I can just prompt the Cursor AI to write that chat for me. I do not need developers, product managers, clients, branding, nothing I do. So this entire economy industry will collapse. I don't think it's that disruptive. I think it's as big as maybe a better Google, maybe a better chatbot. I think it's nothing beyond that. So it's only an enabler of sorts. That
I just want to, it's kind of a part two to the original question about, the skill set possibly changing to be more strategic. And I think, what we've been kind of talking about is that, in using AI, it's going to allow for more of that time to be more strategic, to engage in the strategic thinking that is going to help a client along. So what my part two of that first question is that, if this is true, if the discipline is going to be evolving to more of a strategic role, I consider strategic responsibilities typically in the domain of senior BAs. So for those in the audience that are contemplating or just starting their journey into this profession, how will the requirements change for those just entering into this field? Either one of you, either one of you can take that question.
Sure, maybe I'll just start, Tony.
Yeah, that's good.
Sure. So I think, like you mentioned, maybe the strategic thinking can be taken over by the senior BAs. And again, with respect to that, does not mean that the junior BAs are not going to be a part of the strategic thinking. But yes, so I think my answer will make a lot of people, a lot of junior BAs happy. So I think the junior BAs can focus more on how to use these AI tools. Number one, how to use these AI tools efficiently so that they can speed up their work. They can, generate better output more efficiently, again with speed. And then once that is done, like we discussed about, completing the backlogs well in advance, they can focus on understanding the business goals, on understanding how the systems connect, and also they can definitely probably understand how the senior BAs work with the stakeholders in terms of strategic thinking. They can also work on stakeholder communication. So I think these are some areas that they can focus on once the mechanical part of mechanical part is taken care by the AI. So I think the junior BAs are definitely, it's definitely going to help them get there. So get there when I mean there where we do all the strategic thinking and all the big decisions. So yeah, that's my thought on this.
I just want to be cognizant of time because I just want to allow for some questions at the end. This is actually, we've gotten through probably half of the questions that I had prepared, but I did want to get to one question that we try to make our final question, and it's in an effort to again try to keep this real, try to provide information that's going to be valuable to the people in the audience. So as I said, I think we could continue for a couple hours. It's been fun and hopefully informative. But one final question for both of you: what advice, tips, or perhaps even warnings would you give those considering integrating AI into their BA workflows? Aperna, you want to go first?
Sure, Tony. So I think the first tip that I would tell anybody who wants to integrate AI into their workflow is, like I mentioned, AI is a great AI is a great assistant, but AI is definitely, don't think of AI as somebody who's going to replace anything that you do. Number one. Number two, please do not trust AI completely. So I would want to give an example to this. So let's say if you are will any of you be confident sharing your credit card information or any confidential information to a stranger? So just think, when you give any information to AI, just think twice. Would you be comfortable sharing this level of confidential information to a stranger? Would you drop this level of confidential information as an email to a stranger? The answer is definitely no. So you should always be very careful with the information that you give AI. Always make sure, especially when you're working in an organization, make sure the information that you share is not confidential information. Number one. Number two. Number three, always cross-validate any information that you get from any AI tool. Like I mentioned, even if you ask for links, AI will generate links that really don't exist. So you will have to, individually check that if this is a real link or if it's just, an imaginary link. And the last thing I would say is, not trying to mention the negatives, but the last thing I would say is AI is definitely a great tool for all of us, especially in the field of business analysis. Like we mentioned, it's helping us speed up a lot of our activities, especially when it comes to requirement gathering, writing user stories, competitor analysis, because a lot of activities that used to take hours and days, if we had to compare the feature sets across different competitors, it used to take a lot of time. But right now it can be done in few minutes with the help of AI. So just that, I just want to mention that AI is definitely a blessing, but we have to make sure we use it in the right way, in the ethical way, so that we should always be responsible for the work that we do as business analysts, because we deal with business. So we should always do it in the right way, in the most just way.
Thank you. Raul, what are your thoughts here?
My first thought and my first advice to anybody is that When you're talking to a ChatGPT or an LLM model, it's basically a negotiation. And the first rule of negotiation is never accept the first value that you get. Never. So whatever the first, whatever the answer that you're getting at the first instant itself, don't be lazy. Talk to AI. When you talk to AI, you will understand that maybe the answer is layered. Maybe the context that you gave it to AI was not enough. So when you talk and you communicate with it, you enhance and you enrich your answer to a level that you are expecting it to get an answer out of. So always think about it from a level of that, you may not, no matter how seasoned a domain expert you are, the kind of information AI has or LLM has, none of us have. No human brain can match the capacity of the information quality that AI has. So the first thing that you have to do is respect it for that. And the second thing is, when you are talking to the AI, are getting the right questions, talk in the details, talk in absolute senses, give it the right context, and also read what the AI is giving back to you as an answer. Because whatever it is giving you back, you can always ask on top of that and then enrich your answer further. So it's not going to be a one-stop interaction where you just tell it a task and expect everything will come in 100%. You have to expect that the first answer may be at a 60%, the second and the third and the fourth, it will iteratively evolve in the conversation that you have. So do not limit yourself thinking that, okay, I got the first answer, I have a recency bias, I will stick to it, I have an ADHD, I cannot concentrate beyond a certain point, and I would just stick to the first answer given. That should not be the case. Your effort should be spent on reading the answers that the AI is giving out to you, and then evolving further, asking it further, enriching it further, and then by the time you are done with the absolute answers, you will get your right strategy. But it will again take some time. If you ask AI that, give me a B2C product MVP strategy for this geography in this domain, it will give you that. But is it enough for you? Is it something else you're expecting? Ask the AI itself, is the answer enough? Have you considered the taxing aspects? Have you considered the omni-channel aspects? So it will also understand that, okay, I also may have missed something. Then it will come back to you with a much more enriched answer. Then you ask back that, have you included accessibility requirements? Have you included all the test cases? Have you included the smartwatch or the smaller devices or the upcoming devices requirements? It will answer, oh yes, I may have missed that. So you cannot expect AI to give you 100% answer at the first instant itself. It will take some time. So talk to it, and that can only happen if you are keeping yourself updated also to what an absolute requirement will be. You should know what is the best output you're looking at for, and when you reach to that level, you can of course take it what at the face value.
Great. Thanks, Raul. And thanks, Aperna. You guys have been terrific panelists. I think I can speak for the audience. You've been extremely informative, and your answers, show a incredible command of the space. Okay, to sum it all up, AI is an incredible tool. We all know that. That can make things faster, smarter, and more efficient. But it's not a replacement for what we do. It requires constant editing, supervision, and that requires a subject matter expert. The real magic happens, as I said, when you combine AI speed and precision with the human touch, the emotion, the things that a good business analyst, brings to the table. Okay, you all have been an amazing audience. Thank you so much. As I said, this is the third webinar in our series on real-world uses of AI. Be sure to attend our webinar next week when we talk about the real-world uses of AI and UI development. Now, Ben Buchanan, who was the specialist advisor for AI under President Biden way back when, I know it seems like a long time ago, predicted that humans will not touch write code in 2 years. Obviously, if true, this would be a complete sea change. So join me and our panel of experts to discuss AI and what it means for UI development. So thanks again. And now I'll open it up to questions. And we'll give a couple minutes for the questions to roll in, but again, Raul and Aperna, thank you so much. You guys have been great. I know that it must be getting late where you are, so I do appreciate you being good sports about this, and as I said, I'm sure the audience appreciates it too. So let's see what we got. Okay, this is kind of specific. Could AI eventually take over some aspects of A/B testing, like user feedback analysis and UX research? Who would like to take that?
I'll take it, Aparna, if you want.
Yeah, sure, Rahul.
I think it's already happening, Tony. I'll just take a specific example because the answer also is specific. There is a tool known as Adobe Target. So Adobe Target's basic job is to target the right users with the help of A/B testing. So if Tony likes blue, I will give him blue homepage screen. If Aparna likes white, I will give her a white homepage screen. That already is happening, and based on that interaction, it tracks the level of engagement coming from a blue web page or a white web page. That automation level in terms of A/B testing is already there in all the Experience Cloud tools out there. Adobe Experience Cloud already has that. A lot of CDP tools also have it. Any marketing automation tool that is coming out of SAP Commerce, SAP Salesforce, you can name it, whatever, Adobe as an Experience Cloud, all these tools are already doing that. Because I was hearing it somewhere, I think there Amazon itself runs thousands of A/B testing use cases per minute. So that cannot be manual. It has they of course have an automated tool, an A/B testing tool to do that, which tracks the A/B testing capacity, tracks all the interactions, and then enriches your profile based on the A/B testing output. So that automated level of A/B testing and enriching your content accordingly has always been happening since the advent of manual A/B testing and automated A/B testing. That has always been there. And I think with the advent of AI, Adobe also brought in a tool known as Adobe Orchestrator. Adobe Orchestrator is a series of, it's a group of AI agents that do specific tasks for each and every tool that Adobe has in the Experience Cloud portfolio. Adobe Target has it, Adobe Campaign has it, Magento has it, Adobe AEM has it. So every single tool, every single SaaS application that any Experience Cloud platform has, they are now coming up with individual agents that can orchestrate this entire journey automatically. So it's already happening.
Great, thank you. I think we have time for one more question, and I'll give this to Aperna. So, and I think you actually commented on this earlier, but how important is prompt engineering for BAs and PMs, and should they invest time in mastering it?
Yes, so thanks, Tony. So I think prompt engineering is the most important skill every company should probably train the employees on, because like I mentioned, the better the prompt, the better the output. So like Rahul mentioned, you have to talk to AI. It's not just a question and an answer, and the question that you ask, the prompt that you ask, will definitely create a complete a world of a difference when you get the output. So I have seen a lot of BAs who work on the same task, but the quality of the output is very different. And the reason is, I have BAs who've come up to me and who've told me that, we talk to the AI in a way where we make the AI, let out the answers that we want. So we can get that done, but a lot of people are not aware of this with respect to prompt engineering, how to give better prompts, and that is something I think every company should get their employees trained on. Second thing is, a lot of people, even though they know about this, they are a bit resistant to change. So I think that is another thing. Again, there's a third category of people who really don't trust AI at all. So there are some people like that also. They don't trust AI at all. So they are not convinced with anything that an AI would do. So again, that is not something that we discussed. We discussed that AI is definitely a blessing. It's going to help us, but do not trust completely. We are not saying don't trust AI at all. So I think prompt is very, very important. What prompt you give, how you converse with the AI, how you make the AI give the answers that you want. So like Rahul mentioned, in that conversation that you have with AI, you can treat AI at that point of time like a human. So when you talk to a person, when you have a conversation and you want an answer from someone, you would keep asking questions, question after question, and you'll try to get you what you want to hear. So I think AI will definitely help you get there, but just that you should give the right prompts. And when you get an answer, again, like Rahul mentioned, just don't be satisfied with it. Just keep, just keep modifying it. Just keep asking the AI to update it with more information, enrich it with more information. Because even when you are a business analyst and you're writing a user story, the more detailed your user story is, the better. So all of this can only happen if you give good prompts. If you just give a one-line prompt, or if it's a one-liner, or if it's just a very generic prompt, your responses will be very generic. So I think when I started using AI, my prompts were very, very generic, and the responses were also very generic. So I was not very impressed with it. But I think, like I mentioned, Rahul was my mentor, and he did tell me that the prompts that we give really make a difference. And then I started exploring on how I can give better prompts. And once you start doing it, it becomes really easy. Then I think AI becomes like a best friend who you can just converse about anything. And again, if there is something, this is something I want to tell everyone, if there is something that you really don't understand, you can actually ask the AI to explain it in layman terms, or explain it like how you explain it to a child, and AI really will do a very good job at it. So I think when we try to learn, if I'm trying to learn a new technology or explore something, and I don't really understand it, you might not really understand a new technology at the very first go. So I think at that point of time, if you ask AI with a good prompt on how well can you explain this, AI really does a very good job. So I think from working on a day-to-day basis to learning a new technology, or everything, prompt is the key.
Great. All right, thank you guys. I apologize to the audience. We went a little bit over, but again, you've been amazing, and please join us next week for our webinar, AI and UI development.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
team.
Tony.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Rahul.
thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.